Hello and welcome to our Young Professional Series session, Build Your UChicago Network. We're excited to jump in today. The goal for this session is to show you the different tools that you have at your disposal, created by UChicago alumni, by our team of alumni career development folks, to help you build your network. There's so much value in your UChicago network. Just enable the closed captioning here. There's so much value in this UChicago network. We want you to take advantage of it so you can continue finding a return on your investment in the money and the time that you've spent in your UChicago education. So this is a workshop. Get the work done during this next 30 minutes to an hour, whatever time you have to devote to your networking. Follow along as I'm clicking through the links and actually do the work yourself so you can start to check some of your networking goals off of your list. Let's talk a little bit about why we do this work and some best practices before we dive into some of the tools. So why are we investing this time and energy into networking? That can sometimes feel a little bit draining. There's a lot of reasons for it. And I think the most important reason to invest in your alumni network in particular is because it's a starting off point. It's a spot where you have one really special thing in common. That's your UChicago education. That you can use as a jumping off point for conversation starters. There's a trust that's already built there, recognizing that you're both UChicago alums and you have some shared experiences, and you can learn from one another. And within that, you can get questions answered, you can search for new job opportunities, and I think most importantly, you can just build a community beyond the folks that you went to school with. This is a lifelong alumni community, and so the goal today is to show you the tools, the resources that we work hard to create that helps make it easier for you to build that community and to grow your network. Some best practices, do your research. We are UChicago alums, we know that data-driven networking works best, so do your research, set your goals, revisit those goals, be proactive in your networking. And in the handout that Josh has shared in the chat, there's some more details about each of those best practices there that you can dive into. But we're all here because we know that networking is important, and so I won't dive too deep into why. The most important thing that I want to do is focus on relationship building here. So networking is not just about asking for something, it's also about offering something. So throughout the session, as you're learning about how you can ask alums for advice, for jobs, for thought partnership, or brainstorming, also think about how you can offer your own expertise and your skills to them as well. I'm seeing some people are playing around with the whiteboard, so maybe Josh and Natalie, you can take a look at that. All right, there are 4 things that we're going to be talking about today, 4 tools. One is Wiser, and this is a virtual networking and connection plan tool that we've created, and it's just for UChicago alumni. The other is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a tool that I hope that you're all already on. I won't harp into the 101 details of LinkedIn, but I will show you a few really great key tools that you can use to join the UChicago LinkedIn group and to search for UChicago alums. We actually have a LinkedIn session coming up as part of the Young Professional Series that I'll encourage you to join if you want to dive deeper into LinkedIn. Maybe Josh, you can share a link in the chat for that as well. And then we're going to log on to the Alumni and Friends portal, and we'll take a look at the directory and the job board and the Alumni Owned Businesses directory. But it's so much more helpful when I actually get in and play with these tools in front of you rather than just showing you a PowerPoint presentation. So I'm going to share a different screen. And this time around, I'm going to actually just go to Wiser. I'm going to go to LinkedIn, and I'm going to share all the different tools. You can watch me as I take advantage of these, and then hopefully you can follow along and make your own connections along the way. So here I go, sharing my next screen, and we're going to start off today's session with Wiser. All right, so Wiser is a tool that mimics LinkedIn, and you can see actually when I'm on this homepage here that I can log in with LinkedIn, which makes it all that much easier. I'm not remembering a second password. It's really just a simple way for that single sign-on to happen. And it also means that your LinkedIn is going to populate a lot of your Wiser profile. So we're trying to make things easy for you here. Before I dive into the details of how to use Wiser, I want to share why it's different from LinkedIn and why it's a helpful tool. I think the most important key distinction between Wiser and LinkedIn is Wiser is a community of alumni who have already, by signing into Wiser, opted in to helping you as an alum or as a current student grow in your career, answer questions that you might have, read your resume, connect you with the next job, whatever it is that you're looking for. It's an opt-in community of folks who want to help. So you don't necessarily have that value on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, you have the connections, you have the opportunity to search for people. But on Wiser, when I joined Wiser, I filled out all of these different boxes here, how you can help. I let Wiser know what are my areas of expertise and how can I contribute to the alumni community. And in doing that, I also filled out my current goals so that Wiser can prompt me to do some specific, take action in the system to be able to accomplish my career goals. So when you join Wiser, you're joining a community of folks where you are opting to give your advice and your help, and they are also opting to do the same. So it's a really great community to join for that reason. So as we go through these different tools today, what I'm going to do is kind of walk through some use cases, some case studies of what situation you might be in that it might be helpful to use Wiser or LinkedIn or the directory to accomplish the networking goals that you have set for yourself. So number one is going to be in Wiser. We're going to look at 3 different case studies. The first case study is I am moving to a new city, and I'm looking to connect with alumni in my new city, and I'm looking to grow my UChicago community there. So let's go to the membership tab here, and this is the search feature that we'll use to find alumni in Wiser. And let's say in this case, I'm moving to DC. So I'll start by searching by location DC. Brings up 110 members in Washington who have already opted in on Wiser to help. I want to narrow this down by alumni, and then specifically, there's a great feature in Wiser of folks who are willing to help with learning about new cities. So on this search feature, I'm going to check the learning about new cities box. And here I find 24 alums who want to help other students and alums learn about their new city. And I'm going to use a specific case study here that I'm interested in public policy. I'm doing this one in particular because I just graduated from Harris yesterday. So I'm going to do a little public policy shout out here. I'll apply the industry filters, and here is my very specific search that I have returned 6 alums in DC who want to help other alums get connected with their community in policy. So let's take a look as an example at Katrina. She works at CSIS, very cool. She received her bachelor's from UChicago in 2013. She's also made 4 connections and 4 chats on Wiser already, so I know that she's active in the system. This is a great person for me to reach out to as I make my move to Washington. So I can opt here to send her a message and schedule a coffee chat or a phone call as I make my transition to this new city. Best practice here is to make sure that you send a personalized message. You let Katrina know specifically how you found her, why her profile in particular is the one that you're reaching out to. As much as you can personalize it, it'll ensure that you'll get a higher response rate, and it'll just kind of set the tone for your conversation, for your relationship with Katrina. So that's case study number 1. Move to a new city, find alums that you can connect with in your industry. Let's go with case study number 2 as to how you might use Wiser. And this is for searching for an alum in an industry that you're looking to pivot into. So in my use case here, I will say hypothetically that I've been working in industry, but I want to transition into consulting. And I've been trying to think about how to make that transition, and some informational interviews with alumni would really ease the transition for me. So here's what I'm going to do here. I'm looking for alumni. And in this big long list of what they're willing to help with here, which you can kind of find on the left side of your screen, I'm specifically looking for alumni who can advise me about specific industries or careers. And from there, I would like some advisement about consulting. So I will apply the industry filter of consulting, and I'll find 148 alumni who are willing to help as I transition into the industry of consulting. And as an example here, let's say I'm scrolling down the list and I see Alexandra Price. Cool, she and I went to college together. I didn't know that she worked in consulting, so we know each other on a personal level, not a professional level. And on top of that, she's already opted in to helping alums with advice who are looking to transition into her industry. So this is kind of great. instead of messaging Alexandra on Wiser, I can just shoot her a text because I know her personally, but this will kind of help me take that personal level to a professional level. And I think that's a really big value too of your alumni network, is learning how to translate the people that you went to the pub with in college into professional connections that will help you and who you can help later down the line. All right, case study number 2 is finding members in your industry. I'm going to go with number 3 here, and that's going to be all about participating and joining in virtual communities. So the membership search is one feature of Wiser that we really love. The other feature of Wiser is the communities. These are just digital forums where you can connect with people who have similar industries or similar interests or similar backgrounds to you. And almost all of these communities have been created by alumni, for alumni, and for students. And so this is a space where you can join communities and participate in virtual discussions, learn about what's going on in the community. Maybe they'll advertise an event that's coming up online or in your area, and just kind of use it as a chat forum to connect with folks. The communities that you join will send you a digest email, not super often, it won't be too spammy, just letting you know what's going on in the community, who's been posting recently, if they have an event that's coming up that you want to highlight, so you can stay up to date via email with what's going on in the communities in Wiser. Let's take a look at one, for example, and that's the UChicago Space Network. So we'll look at what the Space Network is all about. It's a group of fellow alumni who share a common interest of outer space. I'm really interested in outer space. This is perfect, great. I can find my fellow space nerds to connect with, and you can kind of scroll through the members here, learn about the people who have already invested in their UChicago Space Network, and then you can participate in the discussion threads that are going on. So we'll scroll through and see some examples of different discussions that have been posted already in this Space Network community. And here's one that's interesting to me. What space-related conferences will you be attending in 2022? If I'm someone who works in the field, that's great because I'm going to be going to these conferences. And so I can see here, as an example, Dave Fisher is going to be attending SmallSat in Utah. I'm going to be going there too. Awesome. Let me message Dave and maybe meet up for coffee or compare schedules and see what sessions we're going to be going to, or maybe even ask him to join me at a networking event because it's so much more fun to have a buddy at a networking event than it is to have to go alone to those kinds of things. So this is a great way to participate in virtual discussions and then hope maybe that those discussions can lead to growing your network in person or virtually, for meetings with folks from around the UChicago community. That was a lot of Wiser. So what I'm going to do is stop my share here, go to the chat, see if there's any questions. I'll encourage you to share questions with me too during this minute before I return to LinkedIn. And I'm saying a few here. Laura asks, will the recording be sent out? Yes, the recording will be sent out via email. Whenever we get it uploaded to YouTube, it'll be this afternoon or tomorrow morning. And we also have a handout that we shared in the chat. Josh, maybe you wouldn't mind sharing it one more time for any folks who signed up or who joined a little bit late. I also see a question about how many alumni are currently on Wiser. We've got about 11,000 alums currently, students and alums, I should say, who have opted in to joining Wiser. So it's a strong virtual community and we're working to grow it. All right, here we go with tool number 2, and that is LinkedIn. Not going to go into details of LinkedIn. We've got some great sessions on our YouTube page with LinkedIn 101, but there are 2 really specific tools that I want to highlight on LinkedIn that will help you grow your alumni network in particular. The first one is the University of Chicago Alumni Group. This is a group, look at this, 23,000 plus members in this group, pretty phenomenal community that we have here on LinkedIn. And you can use this to post, keep updated with posts that alums share. Some folks will post job openings or updates about the cool things that they're doing in their work. Some people, use this as a way to search for UChicago alums. So up on this members tab on the right, you can click see all, and you can see all the people who have joined this alumni community and filter by location, company, industry, or keywords. So there's some really great things happening in the group here, and I encourage you to join this group. And I think importantly, it is a closed group, so you know that it's just UChicago alumni when you click to join into this group. The other thing that I'm going to share about LinkedIn is my absolute favorite networking search tool. I recommend this to everyone when you're trying to find alums who work at organizations that you're interested in. And so that's going to bring us to our fourth case study of the day. This case study is I am applying to an organization, let's say AbbVie, and I want to get a foot in the door with some alumni contacts through the application process. And I would love to learn some advice from alums about, or maybe learn from them about what their experience is like working there, or advice that they have for me through the interview process. So what you do is you search University of Chicago here at the top, and you could just search it by typing it in, University of Chicago. And it brings up the school page. And on the home page of the school page, you'll be able to scroll through, see the posts that the University of Chicago has posted, openings at the university if you're looking to apply here. But the more important tab that we want to focus on here is the Alumni tab. And this is the search feature that will help you search through any alum who has the University of Chicago listed as their education on their LinkedIn page. You can do this exact same thing for Booth or for Harris or for law. All the schools have their own school page that looks just like this with an alumni tab. And from here, you can scroll through and you can use keyword searches, or you can kind of click through these individual search buckets already for geographic location, organization, industry, major, skills, connection level, etc. So in my case study here, I'm looking to apply to a job at AbbVie. So let's do some searching for AbbVie as a keyword. And this returns 271 alumni who have AbbVie listed somewhere on their profile. I want to narrow that down to people who work at AbbVie right now. And so there's this where they work feature on LinkedIn. Click here, and it'll bring up a whole list of 134 alums who work at AbbVie. Now, I am specifically in this case looking to apply to the San Francisco office. So let's narrow this down by geographic area and find the 3 alumni who work at AbbVie in the San Francisco office that I can then reach out to for an informational interview or perhaps for some guidance through the application process for this job here. As I'm looking at these, I actually see that Hua and I share a connection. So that's great. Let me reach out to him and see if he wouldn't mind connecting me with her so that I can then kind of have even more of a foot in the door through this networking process. That's how this works, right? We connect people to each other. We use our networks to kind of we share our contacts with each other. That's the goal of this alumni community here. And from there, I'll be able to schedule a coffee or a phone call and pick their brain about what it's like to work at this organization. What tips do you have for me through the application process? Can you connect me directly with the hiring manager for this one position that I'm interested in? There's a few kind of helpful ways that you could frame that conversation. And again, just like Wiser, make sure that your message on LinkedIn, if you're connecting with them kind of cold, is personalized, it's warm, it gives them some idea of what to expect out of that initial phone call. All of these kind of personal touches will help make sure that they respond to your message that sets the tone for the rest of the relationship that you'll have with them. All right, I'm going to stop my sharing one more time as we make our last transition onto our final tool and take a look quickly here through the chat. It looks like we don't have any specific questions about LinkedIn, but if you think of any, feel free to drop them in the chat and I will answer them at the end. And we're going to move on to our last tool of the day, and that is the Alumni and Friends portal. All right. So this is the UChicago alumni website. This is your destination for all things updates, events, and community building within UChicago alumni. And this is a portal, so you can log in at the top right here. And again, there's single sign-on with LinkedIn and Google and Amazon and all the ways to make it easy so you don't have to remember another password. So I'm signed in here, and on the Alumni and Friends site, I can look at articles or podcasts. I can connect with events that are near me, news about the university. I can log into different newsletters so I can stay up to date with what's going on at the university. And I encourage anyone who signs up for or signs into this portal to actually go to their account and make sure that they update their information to make sure that it's as up to date as it can. We want to make sure that the data we have is up to date, and that will ensure the connections that you're going to be making with folks in the alumni directory work best for you, for your mode of communication. So you can click the My Account button and then go to My Information, and from there you'll be able to edit your information. And all that information will appear on the directory, or actually I should say not all of it, as much of it as you want. That's a really important piece of this directory, is you can choose how much of your information you feel comfortable sharing with folks, with alumni, authenticated alumni who are logging into this site. It can be all of your information about your career history and your location and everything, or it can be just your name, it can be none of it. And I will also say we don't share any personal contact information on this directory, but we do make it easy for you to connect with folks despite not sharing their personal information. So that brings me to my last case study here, and that is I'm searching for an old friend from college. So I'm going to search for Josh Levitt, an alum, a friend of mine, to see if I can find him in the directory. Let's say here we were friends in college, we've lost touch, I don't have his contact information, but I want to see if he's a member of the alumni directory, and I want to shoot him a message and see if we can reconnect here. So you can use the search by name feature here. You can also search by a variety of different criteria, affinity groups, degree information, employment, location. If you're a job seeker, you can click this hiring manager button and find only folks who are hiring managers who will be potential hires for you. So there's a lot of great features here on this directory. And I'll scroll down, I'll find Josh here. And again, because we're not sharing contact information, we do want to make sure that you have a way to connect with people. And so that's through this messaging portal. So I can send Josh a message and it will go directly to his email inbox that he has on file with us. So it acts like an email, just without having the personalized, the data, by keeping your data privacy safe. So this is another really great way that you can reconnect with folks or find people in the alumni community and reach out. Another directory that we have on our site is actually a directory specifically for alumni-owned businesses. This was created in the pandemic because we want to create an opportunity for alums to support each other and to support each other's entrepreneurial ventures. So we've got an alumni-owned businesses directory here. So if you are an entrepreneur, fill out this form and let's get your business up on the website so we can highlight you. And if you're looking to hire, let's say, an estate lawyer, let's scroll down to law, and we see here Janice Dantes has a law firm, and she focuses on estate planning. This is great. Let's support an alumni-owned business, and it kind of helps us, again, find that level of trust that we share as UChicago alumni. So the alumni-owned business is a great way to find retailers or potential organizations that you might be able to partner with. Last but not least, and I know I'm talking fast, so I'm going to give plenty of time for questions, is the job board. So if you are on the job hunt, I encourage you to take a look at this job board. And if you are a hiring manager, or if you know that there's any job or openings at your organization, I encourage you to post here. This job board is only open to authenticated UChicago alums. So it's an exclusive job board, and it's free to post for anyone who's interested in posting on this board. So let's say, and so you can kind of scroll through and see the jobs that are available. You can use a variety of search features as well here. So let's say I am applying to jobs in machine learning. I'm going to use the keyword search. And I see that the machine learning engineer position pops up here. It was posted fairly recently. That's great. So I can click into it and I'll scroll through the job to learn a little bit about it, see if it feels like a good fit for me. And the best part about this job board, and the reason why it's, it sets itself apart from Indeed or Monster or any other job boards that you'll see on the internet, is that we have this alumni foot in the door option. So that's for alums who have posted job opportunities that are designed for fellow alumni. They're excited to hire UChicago alums. They know the value of a UChicago education, and they want to bring fellow alums into their organization. And so Gabriel here has posted this position and has offered up his contact information. So I, as a job applicant, will immediately reach out to Gabriel and say, this position looks so great. I'm really excited to apply. Do you have any advice for me? How can I set myself apart in the application process? And then once you go ahead and click through and apply to LEAP, you'll have already learned from Gabriel. Hopefully they will be able to see your application when it comes in and, stick your resume at the top of the pile for HR. So that's the real value of having an alumni connected job board. And so it only works as much as alums post on it. So please post positions at your organizations, pay it forward. This is a great way for us as a community to help each other in our job search. I just went through so many different tools that are available for you on our website. So I'm going to take a pause here and take a look through and see if there's any specific questions. All right, it looks like some of the questions have been answered in the chat. So if you have a question, feel free to pipe up, unmute yourself, ask away. And if you don't, this is the time that I hope that you'll devote to getting to work on your networking. So this is really designed to only be a 30-minute presentation, but the next 30 minutes I have free. So I'm going to sit on Zoom in this room and let's make this a co-working space. Go to that checklist that Josh shared in the chat and actually start to check some items off. Get to work on your networking. You're here because it's something that you want to prioritize. So get into Wiser and log in, get into the LinkedIn group and search through LinkedIn and find people you want to connect with. And I'm going to be here as a resource for you to answer hopefully any questions that you have, technical difficulties, be your brainstorming partner. And then the last thing I'll say is if anyone on the line has some best practices or some ideas of their own to share, this is a brain trust that we hope that you'll be able to contribute to as well. So jump in the chat and share some ideas or best practices or unmute yourself. But for now, that is the end of this presentation. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon and for contributing to this alumni community. We're a really special group of folks, and I'm excited to count each one of you as a member of my alumni community. So thank you so much. I'm going to stop recording.